At this point, we all know that wired IEM sounds way better than even top-tier wireless earbuds. But I also understand that there are so many choices out there that you might be confused which one to get. So my goal for this video is to share 4 $80 IEMs that you must consider, each with a different sound for different tastes. So you can pick one and get started right away. Selamat pagi! Good morning everyone, Kenneth here and welcome to my 2023 sub $80 IEM recommendations video. Now, this price point is a sweet spot for many since it's not too expensive, but it's not too cheap either, so you don't compromise on either sound quality or build quality. And you also get the most value, arguably, out of your hard-earned money in this price range. Before we start though, I want to let you know that everything in this video is my own honest opinion. I've tested these IEMs for months at this point, and if you want to buy them, please click the affiliate links below. I may get a small commission at no extra cost to you, so thank you so much for your support. And let's get started with the first earbud from a familiar brand at this point, the Moondrop Aria Snow Edition. So just like its brother the Moondrop Aria, which I have here, this is $80, and if time has taught me anything, Moondrop's prices has been one that rarely goes on discount. To make that worthwhile though, it's got a nice metal build that feels sturdy and sometimes slightly cool in an air-conditioned room, but most importantly, the shape is just a no-frills, good-fitting design that's tried and tested with time. And now it comes with the company's own spring tips, which I personally like for a light fitting comfort. Talking about the cable, I used to hate the absence of neck change that seems to be the case with new Moondrop releases lately, but as I went back and forth with different IEM cables, actually I noticed that this cable is very lightweight, very nicely stays around the ear without a neck change, and this makes me appreciate how well thought out the weight distribution and material selection is. One last thing I like better here compared to the old Aria is this new thinner cable fits easier in the case since it doesn't take as much space as the braided fabric one that needs some, very specific rolling, so it fits in this small case. But just one last note, actually I used to hate this cable at first since it has a tendency to bend out of my ear, but after using it for a while, it goes back in shape and it's great now. So that's the same thing with the Aria, actually. Alright, now let's talk about the sound quality, and for all the IEMs discussed in this video, I will be mostly listening to my Apple Music lossless, my review playlist linked in the description, and all IEMs are connected either directly to my 16-inch MacBook Pro or using an Apple Lightning to 3.5mm dongle. I do this to let you know that even with basic equipments, you can get amazing sound out of these. Alright, to start, the Moondrop Aria SE. This is a completely different sounding IEM to the Black Aria. I'd say it's a return to Moondrop's origin, which means tuning down the bass, bringing more detail and fullness to the mids, and highlight the wide soundstage they're known for. To give you more about it, the tuning now focuses on the mid-range. So no matter how busy the background gets, the singer will always be separated forward with great detail down to the little intricacies, and it sounds full for both male and female vocals. As for the bass and treble, the Aria SE brings very good balance of bass kick to treble detail, but they are still not as boosted as the Black Aria here, so they play a supporting role on the SE, whereas the vocal is the star of the show. Take for example this J-pop song Orange by 7 Oops. The Snow Edition brings the female vocal forward in full force, accompanied with prominent strings in a chorus, then the bass guitar and drum playing a supportive role. The Black Aria, on the other hand, focuses more on that bass guitar and drum kicks, with slightly more sparkle in the treble, bringing out the right cymbal a bit more. Now, the Snow Edition is one click less loud compared to the Aria here, and it's, in my opinion, a more niche tuning. It's for those who likes their music to be more flat sounding, whereas the regular Aria caters to the general audience with its stronger bass and treble. With that said though, technicality and detail between the two are similar, which is to say that it's getting quite old now. The new kids in the block are going to sound more detailed, and let's talk about it now. So here we have the Truthear HEXA. This is probably the IEM that made this video topic in this first place, because for what, 70-80 bucks now, it sounds so good that the details are getting close to the direction of planar Lazada S12. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here, so let's go through build quality real quick and we'll talk sound quality in detail. Okay, first things first, let me take a second and say that I love this carrying pouch. Very easy to take in and out, the fall leather feels nice, and you can even put in a lightning dongle while still being very compact, unlike the other cases you see in this video. Although granted, these are soft cases, where the others are more like hard cases, so they protect your IEMs a little bit more if you put it in the back. Moving on to the IEMs, first impression you'll get is these are very light, but they don't feel cheap at all since this is a 3D printed resin, so it's surprisingly comfortable to wear. I have no problem wearing this for hours. It's got very good passive isolation, which is also a little bit surprising to me, and paired with the included ear tips, it's very easy to get a good fit. Also, we have the 2-pin cable here. They're similarly thin and light. It doesn't have any bends even out of the box, and it's not a material that becomes sticky after years of usage. Furthermore, going back to the IEM, this is surface grinded to make a matte finish, so it feels soft to the touch, and most importantly, it houses the impressive array of 1 dynamic driver plus 3 balanced armature along with their sound channels, or acoustic waveguides to be fancy. These are what's cooking to serve you an absolutely delightful sound. So the Truthear HEXA has a balanced tuning, but it's more towards feeling light and airy than bassy and meaty. So you can notice the detail of every instrument easily, which is especially the case in songs like September by Earth, Wind and Fire. The definition of each guitar picks, the saxophone at the back, and every drum hits, especially that hi-hat on the right side, are clearly defined and well spread out, complementing the vocals at the center of it all. In comparison, the Moondrop Aria has more basic tuning, so to say, almost V-shaped like, although I don't want to say that since this is still a balanced sounding earbuds. Just in comparison, it's more elevated in bass and treble, but the biggest difference lies in the overall detail and separation, which is miles better on the HEXA. And then we come to the Lazada S12, which combines the best of both worlds here. It's got a proper V-shaped tuning, so very fun bass, very clear treble, but with detail and separation, which is taken another step further from the HEXA even. This is a really great IEM that's recently dropped to 120 bucks. I've reviewed it right here, but still, the fact that it gets anywhere around for the HEXA at half the price, very impressive. So from here we can see that the HEXA isn't super bassy, and Don't Start Now by Dua Lipa, the dynamic driver tries its best to close the bass impact gap to the Moondrop Aria and Lazada S12, but latter two still sounds more powerful and thick, where the HEXA focuses on the detail in the slap bass. So keep this in mind. As good as this is, you might not like it if you are a bass head. Now, last but not least, I want to put in one of my favorite J-rock artists, Yorushika, and compare it to the Moondrop Aria. And before I forgot, the HEXA is about 1 click less loud, but that's hardly matters. It's still plenty enough for daily use. I still use it around 50% volume only. And here, the sound staging is about similar. But the HEXA has much better vocal presence in the upper mids, so female vocals is front and center with enough bright treble that never feels sibilant or piercing, and details like open hi-hat sounds very satisfying. Alright, if you enjoyed this video so far, or if you are buying the HEXA right away, I would appreciate if you use the affiliate links below and subscribe too if you want to see more IEM reviews coming soon. One of them is where I finally try a truly wireless IEM adapter, which you've requested for years, so stay tuned. Super excited for that, and let's move on to the next one. This is the DUNU Titan S. So this is another new brand in the channel, but DUNU itself is not foreign to the audio community, selling at $80 retail, or I've seen it for as low as 66 bucks. It competes head to head with the Moondrop and Truthear. So how did it go? Firstly, I was definitely surprised by this case because it is very nice for the price. It's a book-like case where you can stuff in the IEM, the cable, and a small DAC like my FIO BTR5, or a slightly larger dongle that doesn't fit in normal cases like this. And it's got a felt lining inside, a small pouch to store filters or ear tips or whatnot. The only downside is it's big and you will need to find a little space in your bag, or if you pocket it, this will make a bit of bulge. But let's continue to talk about the cable real quick. These are very well shaped out of the box again. Good job to all these manufacturers. Thin and light too, similar to the Truthear HEXA, and neck hinge is easy to adjust here, stays no problem, and it has a matching 2-pin connector to the shape of the IEM, which in one side is very nice looking, but when you use a third-party cable, they're going to look a little bit off. It's a small nitpick from my side. But I have one problem, which is how the IEMs fit. So the whole design paired with the included ear tips are so tall, they place the IEM body at a distance away from my ear, which makes it pivot like a spinning top. This makes it hard for me to find a good fit, and even when I do, it will get loose on my left ear. But to be fair, that's really my left ear shape that's tricky to get a good fit in general, although, well, the Moondrop and Truthear have much less problem getting a good fit, so it's actually doable. And a personal solution for me is this SpinFit CP360. They're originally designed for TrueWow's earbuds for their short height, but it's perfect in my case as they bring the IEM closer to my ear, and as a result, I instantly get a perfect fit I wanted. And they bring better passive isolation too, something that the included ear tips aren't very good at. Now, I'll link the CP360 down below if you ever need one. They're quite literally a lifesaver for me, and it's really good that I solved it because these sound great, and it doesn't have fancy multiple driver setup, just plain old single dynamic driver IEM with very good balance tuning that focuses on the upper mid, the treble sparkle. If that sounds familiar to you, that's because we just talked about it with the Truthear HEXA, and I was especially surprised at the fact that the Titan S can get close to the amount of detail the HEXA can reveal. To give you an example, this Always by Bon Jovi, the Titan S lets you hear the little hi-hat hits, the ride cymbal bell. You see the little bulge in that ride cymbal? Well, not as clear as the HEXA, but it's still there, and to the point of Titan S here, the vocals I think are a little bit fuller here, and at the same time, it can do what the HEXA couldn't, which is bringing slightly more sub-bass oomph, an extension to every bass note and drum kicks. Compared to the Moondrop Aria, the DUNU has slightly wider instrument separation that feels more out of the ear, perhaps due to the lighter bass tuning here, and of course it's got more definition overall, especially on the bass to mid-range region for instruments like guitar and the likes. Both DUNU and Truthear has made amazing IEMs here. With different approach, they meet on this balanced tuning with very good sound staging, instrument separation, and technical detail. It'll be up to you whether you want the absolute detail you can get, which is the HEXA here, or you want something more balanced, which is the Titan S. Oh, and by the way, the DUNU is available in very cool brushed metal look, as well as this red and black finish I've got here. They absolutely look amazing, and it's a fresh design change compared to the plastic HEXA build, even though it weighs a little bit more, just about the same as the Aria actually. Now finally, onto our last IEM of the day. We've got the OpenAudio Witch Pro, which was $90 retail, but now you could get them around $80. This is my first venture into OpenAudio, and I know they make some great high-end stuff, and we can see that expertise trickle down here. Firstly, let's start with this case, which is exactly like the Moondrop Kato, just with a different logo and a gray color. I love this case because it's a hard case, it keeps the IEM safe, it's easy to open, take in and out. It's also enough to put a slightly bigger dongle. But now let's briefly talk about the cable, as this behaves again very well out of the box. Quality is pretty good too, although I honestly prefer the Truthear or the DUNU better. This feels more plasticky, but honestly to me, cable is cable, and all of the IEMs these days are good at resisting rubbing or tapping noise to your shirt here, and that's good enough. Let's move on to the IEMs now. This is a different one actually. It's a QDC connector, like it's a 2-pin but with a plastic outside. But what I wanted to highlight is the fact that it's the only one that's shaped like a custom IEM, where it fits into the earlobe creases like some wireless earbuds from KZ do. And along with this included ear tips that may not look the most sophisticated, the Witch Pro fits very well. It's dead simple to put on, and it's very comfortable to wear. Passive noise isolation, mwah, amazing. And also, hey, did I talk about the purple color with this very nice design on the cover? I don't know about you, but I quite like it. Moving on, the OpenAudio Witch Pro earpieces are extremely light. Probably the lightest one in this video after the Truthear HEXA, and that's because the molded plastic inside is actually empty, only houses the one dynamic driver plus one balanced armature setup, and boy, do they sound surprising. So, unlike any other in this video, this doesn't even try to be natural or balanced sounding. Heck, even my entire 4 years of reviewing earbuds, I've never heard a tuning as V-shaped as this. We're talking tons of bass punch, the most out of this video today, an elevated treble that fortunately still doesn't sound piercing. Overall instrumentation is quite detailed, but the mid-range felt somewhat hollow and thin, which may be one of those cases where the balanced armature causes unnatural sounding timbre, where the same frequency just doesn't sound good. Or simply because the extreme V-shaped tuning, it makes the mid-range hollow, which I think is the more likely reason. But just as a note, this tuning is not my usual cup of tea, but with the right song genres, it becomes second to none. Take this EDM song from NOTD, I don't know why. The female vocal started the song with nice clarity, and then when the bass kicks in, it immediately felt like the bass envelopes you with beat and rumble while not losing the edge on that vocal sweetness. Another genre that I found this tuning benefits from is heavy rock. Again, I don't usually listen to heavy rock, but I think Break the Wall by Dreamcatcher, which I loved recently, would suffice. Quickly comparing the OpenAudio to the Aria, this is the only IEM that's finally one click louder, and on the bass side, the OpenAudio delivers more rumble, reaching to the sub bass with brighter trebles and cymbal hits as well. Again, they don't sound sibilant or piercing, which is very important, but vocal presentation comparison is like buried between the instruments in the back of your head, where the Aria has smooth and full-bodied vocals playing front center. You have to keep in mind that this sound appeals to very specific genre and people. So if you like something with a lot of bass while still giving you a good amount of vocal detail, and then you listen to EDM or rock songs all the time, then this might be the one for you. Otherwise, I honestly think you'll get better sound from other IEMs I've mentioned in this video. And that pretty much wraps it up. Let me know which one is your pick, or if you've got other IEMs you swear by, feel free to let me know in the comments below and I would be more than happy to check them out. It's really been a blast for me to dip into this audiophile world, especially trying out some of the good stuff like these planners I've reviewed before. And up next right here, guys, we have the Moondrop Blessing 3 to review, and I'm telling you, this is an entirely different level of listening experience. I really cannot wait to tell you more about it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth, and I'll see you in the next review. Bye.